Are you sure?
I have never been more sure than right now.
More sure, even.
Yeah. So here we are yet again. It's Radio Rothingham, the world's least professional podcast on the entire table. I am the Artrix, your host, and we got everything needs to be a citation. Also, trust but verify, but we'll get back to that later. We got
That's what Lenin used to say.
to everyone's surprise, we got back from the dead. We got Penboy.
No, I'm not back. Back's the German one.
Yeah. Back's the German one. Yeah, that's correct. So you placed the German for an Irish.
Indeed.
Yes. We got ourselves Xaverius.
Citation needed.
Do we also need citation to say that you just witnessed the ISS flyover? I'll take that as a yes.
The existence of the ISS.
Yes.
I would like to call the astronauts on the ISS just to make sure.
Yeah.
It was them.
You know, you were just standing there on the ground and you pulled up your Nokia and you were like, "Hey, you on the spaceship station orbit thing," and they're like, "Why were you calling us?" And then you're like, "Because I can. There's no other reason." Absolutely.
There's a reason. I need to ask them if they flew over me just now.
Yeah, you need to ask them, "Hey, can you see me? This is important." And then they're like, "Leave us alone." Then
Don't call again.
yeah, don't call us. We'll call you, okay?
Sure, all they're doing up there is having sex anyway. They released a study recently
Yeah.
saying that all sexual positions in space basically end up the same. There's no difference between reverse cowboy and doggy style. It's just a guy grabbing your tits from behind.
How, did they just... Oh my god, that's...
I mean, think of all the fluids involved.
Like blood.
Yeah, like blood. Yeah.
You whack into her and
I mean, look at it.
momentum
Have
just
you
carries
ever
you head
tried
over
to
heels.
maintain an erection in vacuum? It's very scientific stuff.
I don't think they were doing it in a vacuum. So.
Sorry.
Well, that would provide some proper suction.
Isn't the whole point of the ISS to have an environment that's not a vacuum in space? They can incidentally also breathe and not die.
No, Artrix. Actually, that's the only part of the universe that's vacuum.
Oh.
But the rest of it is normal breathable atmosphere.
So-
They do bring up a couple of bottles of air every now and again.
Yeah. So,
Budweiser branded air.
Oh.
you know, they also bring in some beer, but it's like
You know what they need up there? They need like water syrup, but for air.
oh yes. I'm pretty sure you've seen that video from Thunderbird Cat's foot guy recently,
About
where
the
it's
new
like,
solar panels.
yes, we're just going to get water straight out of the air. It doesn't cost anything. It will just appear out of nowhere. And then,
There is water in the air.
Yes.
It doesn't cost anything.
Condense it.
Just $4,000.
it's all it
Can't
takes
condense
is
enough of it with a small solar panel.
yes.
I love how this introduction has devolved into this.
I mean, oh yeah. Before we forget, let's introduce the rest. So we got SanyaWaffles,
We don't need those.
Yo.
and we got Sekele.
I am gradually going insane, and I'm completely naked.
Who
GG.
isn't really?
Full story, bro.
Did you know that we're all naked skeleton inside?
It's terrifying.
Yeah, I know.
It's even better. They are brains. No, wait.
The
Yeah,
brain.
They all have a
riding
brain in
skeletons who are dressed in meat armor.
Yes. We all know that meat is the most efficient of armors. Yes.
It can even stop another meat.
Yeah.
I keep my brain in a jar known as a skull.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first you need the robot body.
Well, it kind of is a jar, since your brain is kind of floating in, fluid.
Jar made of bone.
Oh, actually, as well, they decided that all the goo in your body, the slime between all your organs, that's an organ now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like gender?
No, it's not. It's actually, it probably has
Can I be
gender.
a gender?
So
being?
Viscera is basically a gen.
Yes,
damn it.
it's a gender now.
Viscera is.
There's no escape.
Oh my Christ.
Viscera, delicious.
Where's that gun? I need that gun.
Is
Steam Patrol.
Oh, in America, you have 2 guns.
Jordan?
Statistics. You personally have 2 guns.
Look, the real question is Jordan Peterson refusing to address the organs by their preferred pronoun?
Only if somebody's forcing him to do it. If you ask nicely.
Oh, yeah.
it's okay.
I don't want to use your preferred pronoun, Mister Organ. I don't think you're an organ, and I shouldn't be forced to say it because I'm Peterson, bitch. Well, it was a bad Peterson impersonation, but
That was the worst.
Don't even know. Your
the
impersonation
worst
of the
thing-
band, I don't even know what it is.
The worst thing I have heard all day, and I've heard some horrible shit.
hmm. Speaking of horrible shit, let's start this episode with a downer.
Yes, I ordered a package from PPL and I told them deliver it to me to my house tomorrow, and they didn't. Even though their tracker said they would.
That's
And even worse than that, Artrix has a face cam.
that too.
Oh,
You really have been around for not a long time, have you, Timberlake?
Actually, no, he had the face cam last time I was here.
Hmm.
Oh, he did.
He just didn't comment on it.
actually, these are the only 2 occasions he had it on.
It's true.
He's playing a ruse on you.
Yes, it's a very elaborate joke.
Also,
And-
I probably gave him shit about it last time too because he's got a
It's
face
just a
cam.
prank, bro. It's just a prank.
Actually, I don't think that was the case.
I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
he's got a face cam.
Yes.
That's why I stopped watching his streams like a year ago. That's why I stopped watching his streams.
Also, he was drawing so much Overwatch.
That too. Those are 2 very good reasons to not watch his streams.
And no matter how much I complained, he kept drawing. Had to
Yes.
take a stand.
Overwatch.
He
Overwatch.
took a stand and stopped attending.
More like under surveillance.
More like unwatch. Because he
I'm,
stopped watching.
I'm horrible, and I'm. This is all a cry for help.
That's probably true.
And
Yeah. In seriousness, though, we had a loss in
yes, a
world
great
today. Not
yes.
today, but this week.
No, wasn't it yesterday?
It was a couple days ago. I think.
Oh, it was
or
this.
Monday, I think. It was either Wednesday or Thursday. The news broke.
I
What
think
is the news that broke?
Total Biscuit is no more.
He did.
He dead. He rage quit.
Rest in peace, man.
Press F.
So
I
yeah.
actually did that just now out of instinct.
So yeah. We all knew that he was struggling with the cancers. But there were some signs that he might actually be, recovering and everything.
Yes.
But in the end, it was-
Unfortunately, the cancer caused other cancers because it was a weak bitch that couldn't fight for itself.
So,
And he got more cancers, so he was like, oh no, I better take this fucker down with me.
That is basically how cancer works, because once you get one type of cancer, the other ones are on their way.
Damn it. You have to spoil it with scientific explanations.
so the cancer's like, hey, cancer, come over here. Let's have a party. And the other cancer's like, okay, I'll join in. Sounds like
Yeah.
fun.
Cancer
Then they
is
start
shit.
reproducing.
So
They
call-
start reproducing asexually, and the cells just be like free real estate. It's free real estate. It's a house to our own. But yeah, that's. it was sad because I have to admit that while I didn't agree with everything he said, he was a big influence on me, at least in terms of how I think. That, at least be independent, even if it means people won't necessarily like you. Because be honest with yourself, even if it doesn't please people.
Also, let's not forget the important things. Probably the only World of Warcraft streamer that was watchable. And, back in 2010, when he was actually doing World of Warcraft. And I started watching him. And the good voice and the original top hat man. And I think that's all the important things about him. There's nothing more important than this, not at all. I'm pretty sure.
He had a very soothing voice, that's true.
Yeah, his voice was not one of a kind, but I've actually... There's this game called A Town with No Name. It's a really horrible game. Retsu Prey has done it. But during the interview with he did with Slowbeef, who Something Awful Goon, who does the Retsu Prey stuff with Diabetes, actually, I recognized his voice, and then I went back to The Town with No Name. It sounded almost like the same guy, but it couldn't be because he was the game came out in the early '90s. He would have been really young, but it sounded just like that. The only good thing about that game was the guy who did the voiceover stuff was sounded very much like Total Biscuit, and that's just something that sticks with me. He had a really good voice for announcing.
So you're saying you really enjoyed Total Biscuit because it sounded like an arbitrary name from voice from a really old game.
Well, the game, if you've ever seen it, actually is very fucked up and very insane. So it's kind of memorable.
It's an accurate simulation of the internet, then.
But but to me, also, just he had a really good voice for things. I would have liked to have seen him do voice acting work for games and such, but I don't know if that ever happened. If not, it's never going to be now.
Well, he wouldn't do that because he had that little side business of criticizing games.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he did announce a pack for StarCraft too.
Though that didn't stop John Strand from voicing a character in Ahead in Time.
Yes, but he's a horrible racist.
Yeah, it's true.
Although the skin was a sexist and misogynistic of women.
He really liked racing. That's why he's such a horrible racist.
I mean, that's
because he was really bad at it too. He'd play Mario Kart and always come last, even when he had all the shells.
Yes. He had
and then when then Isabel would win and not him, and he'd be like, "Bebby Bobbity, get this bitch off my property."
And the R&D would just give him thunder and red shells constantly, and bullet bills, and it wasn't enough. He just kept losing, even though he was a proud racist.
You said thunder. I'm triggered into recent events.
Okay, well, your medal's in the mail.
Good job.
But then again, it's using the same shipping company that you're using now, so it will probably never arrive.
Does the medal remove certain cartoons?
I don't know.
I shall not mention in here.
Yeah, don't mention it just yet, because I think we all know what you want to bring up. So let's finish up the whole ordeal about the Total Biscuits, because
because messages of compassion and solemn respect surfaced on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right? That's what you wanted to say.
Well, you look at the random thread, and it's most comments are like, "Oh yeah, we will miss him. He was a great asset to the gaming community." Blah blah blah. But there's inevitably always gonna be that one guy, and it's almost always a guy. There's almost one guy, well, sometimes 5 guys, but that goes, "I don't want to rain on your parade, but..."
Artrix, did you notice the great reference I made?
You mean the 5 guys thing?
Yeah.
Yes, I get the reference.
I saw what you did there.
That's great, because I said the number 5 at random, and after I said it, I was like, shit, that's a reference.
But yeah, So you have this
I'm memeing subconsciously.
you have this comment section, and inevitably someone will come up to it and say, "But did you know that he was a very influential guy in a hate campaign that hates everything, and that makes him bad?"
It sounds
And-
like my lifestyle.
So yeah, obviously they're referring to Gamergate, and yes, he was a very big figure in that whole ordeal because he was one of the few people to actually stop and say, "Hold on, there are breaches going on in journalism ethics. Like this isn't supposed to happen." And there was like an entire mega thread on the Reddits that he set up, and it was removed by their moderators, only fueling the whole conflict. You know, here you have a thread full of people discussing all the corruption going on in gaming journalism, and then the entire thread is just deleted.
You know,
Just
to me,
accept
nothing
that.
makes Gamergate more powerful and influential than basically trying to erase all traces of it.
It's basically the
Trying to erase it as a hate group.
it's
or
it's
hate-
it's a Streisand effect because here's at least in my from my point of view, here's what happened with the whole Gamergate thing. So it started out with this whole conspiracy thing, and it was kind of like lol, that's silly. But you know, by the time it went into its second week, I was like, okay, that was funny, let's move on. But then the whole
No!
but no, there's more. Because then the whole gamers are dead article thing
Yes.
entered the
Hello,
scene.
did you know you are over?
Yeah, did you know that you're over? Like, we are the gaming press, and, you know, we report on games, but actually you're over. We don't want you as our audience anymore. And that's also around the time people were discussing the whole ordeal, like the all the collusion going on, including Total Biscuit. And that's basically how Gamergate spawned, because people realized, oh, there's a lot of corruption going on, and we don't like that. We're gonna fight it. We're gonna band together and do something about it. And
They're gonna band together and talk.
And
yes,
that's why I think a lot of people are trying to dismiss him as some like hate speech monger, is because they don't want to admit maybe there's something wrong with
It's
themselves.
ironic because he self-confessed that there are idiots on both sides and he's gonna stay neutral, but there should be discussion.
yeah,
And
Yeah,
obviously,
which I agree with.
I fired a few shots because, you know, he and Twitter drama was like, well, things that go together well.
well, didn't he?
How dare he state the truth? And, oh my god, there's idiots on both sides. Holy shit, folks.
Well, didn't he quit Twitter like 4 times during his
Yes.
lifetime?
He periodically quit Twitter.
Yes, it was like
Well, see, it works like this. If you don't condemn Gamergate every time you draw breath or exhale, well, both, you can talk while inhaling. Unless you do that, you are obviously pro Gamergate.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
I
he
was just actually having this conversation with some friends today on another Discord server, where it's like I feel like so much pressure for me to actually say my opinions on things, just because I don't, people think I must be condemning whatever it is. So we're condoning, one depending on what it is, you know.
But
Oh,
obviously, what
you
what
aren't talking
do is-
about
is you say-
you aren't talking about anti-Trump stuff all the time. You must like it.
See, obviously, what you say is,
do.
I'm trans, stop oppressing
These
me.
people are utterly incapable of comprehending that someone might be actually neutral about something.
mhm.
Obviously.
Yeah. Well,
I mean-
it's like that one movie, Pulp Fiction. You gotta have an opinion, man.
I mean, yeah, Trump is a good one because these days it seems to be that, there's like no compromise. You have to basically hate him to be accepted amongst, these so-called intellectuals. I mean, he says a lot of stupid shit, but I'd rather understand why they make these decisions and try and look at it from more neutral stance than to just go, oh, well, it's Trump, so...
No, Artrix, look, you should know that you can't entertain an idea without accepting it.
Oh yeah, of course.
No such thing. Like, look, human brain just can't handle this. It's not complicated enough for this. Like, the moment you hear an idea, you automatically start agreeing with it.
Ah, okay.
I agree with all the ideas I hear. All of them. Even the ones that contradict each other.
I believe in.
Cheese is water.
Cheese is the most delicious kind of water.
There you go.
Goes down easy while you chew it.
Baptist over Conk changed my mind.
So yeah, there have been a lot of very lovely articles on the internet and tweets and whatnot by some very lovely people that consider themselves anti-Gamergate. You know, wishing him the best of luck, or at least the family. Like, yeah, your loved one just died, but he was a horrible man because he dared to have an opinion.
You know, it's weird. I saw in the same chat that I was talking about, there's this, what did Total Biscuit do today, Twitter? Even they showed more respect than some of these people have done. All they said was, rest in peace, Total Biscuit, or something to that effect. That was it. They didn't say anything inflammatory about it. So to me, it's like, even when Tumblr is more respectful than you guys on Twitter,
Even
that's
fucking
scary.
Team Star, the drama queen. I mean, you know, Team Star, the bearded person that I know absolutely nothing about except he's a drama queen.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What about him?
He works in drama.
That's his whole career.
Apparently, at some point, he got argument with Total Biscuit, and he was like, "I can't wait to report on your death."
Well,
And
here we
when
go.
Total Biscuit happened to die, Team Star just came in and acknowledged it, and well, didn't apologize like by saying apologize, but he did say that Total Biscuit deserves respect and everything.
So even though he kind of got like carte blanche to do exactly what he set out to do, he was the better man.
Yeah.
The-
I give mad props to Keemstar for doing that. When Keemstar's better than you, that's sad.
Hmm?
Well,
Like,
but none
Keemstar
of
is
that matters
like-
because you know Total Biscuit didn't condemn Gamergate, therefore he's evil.
If
If you can be nice to evil people, then you'd think the evil people are actually people and have emotions, and then it would be very confusing because then what is the difference between you and the evil people? Huh?
I didn't punch a Nazi today, so therefore I must condone Nazis.
Therefore, you are Nazi. See?
We are all Nazis now.
There used to be this nice slogan back in communism. Sekele would know about it, and it was basically like, "Who isn't with us is against us."
No, that's not exclusive to communism, to be honest.
Bush said the same
You are right, Artrix. Karl Hermann Frank also said it.
Hmm?
You know, the Nazi guy.
Yes, that and you know, I'm sure a lot of you have gone through the Bush years with the whole war, the whole war on terrorism.
Artrix, that was Bush. Do we really know that he knew what he was doing?
That's the biggest. That's probably the scariest thing about Bush.
Maybe he just read a book and saw the words and liked them. What do you know?
You know, a lot of people are like, Trump is dumb and shit. They obviously haven't lived through the Bush years.
Yeah, at least Trump knows exactly how many a Brazilian is.
Hmm. I mean, he may not be as Jesus, eloquent.
Technically hasn't started as many wars yet.
Technically, no.
He
You know,
still has time though.
he's done a few tiny strikes, but he hasn't started a full-blown invasion of a foreign country.
Yes. Anyway,
Which is-
should I mention the developer from EA?
Yeah, go ahead, because I think I know what you're referring to.
There was a developer from EA, and he spent about half an hour posting a string of tweets. You know, that's extremely dumb doing that on Twitter. Just that.
Yeah, just-
He did a string of tweets in which he was saying stuff that was generally, not very nice to go to this kid, and saying that all
Well,
he did
being
was
a
just
piece of shit.
yes. Well, if you want to cite it, yes. He was saying that this kid did nobody a service, that he was just doing crappy game reviews that were not helpful at all, yet still remain some of his most viewed videos. Well, I mean, if they remain some of his most viewed videos, they probably were helpful. It's just that this developer in particular happened to not learn anything from them because, I think, I don't know. I might be an armchair psychologist here, but maybe this developer just got offended at the critique and decided to not accept it at all. And
So-
just deflect it.
So basically, like how the internet reacts whenever someone doesn't like something.
Yes, apparently. Also, some person who did a research on him. Turns out this developer was involved in Battlefront 2 and Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh yeah.
The games that fucking need criticizing because they are terrible on all accounts.
But what are you talking about? The drama now that wonderful facial expressions and everything.
Yes, Andromeda was better than all the Mass Effects put together. That's true. What am I
It
talking?
was garbage.
How dare you criticize it? I'm blacklisting all of you.
Obviously, I was talking about Mass Effect 1, the objectively worst game in the series, right?
So yeah, but yeah, I kind of skimmed through his entire diatribe, and yeah, not a lot of things of value were said.
Yes.
I think one thing we can learn is, be it anti-SJW or SJW, it doesn't matter. Some people are going to shit on the dead, and I'm like, the dead aren't there to really defend themselves.
Hmm?
And it's not like he raped anyone or diddled anyone or did horrible things like that. To me, it's like, just let the man have his rest. He's obviously suffered a great deal. Cancer is not. I've lost family members to cancer suddenly.
Don't you know that
abruptly.
boards are terrible weapons that should not be
Oh
ever
my
used.
god, some man with a beard and a British awesome posh voice criticized me. What the hell am I gonna do? It's like, seriously,
Obviously,
grow
you
some goddamn
wait until he
organ.
dies and then you slander him.
Yeah, it's like, grow some goddamn a pair of whatever you want to grow. Because,
Look. The term soy boy exists for a
You have
reason.
to kill yourself.
it's just,
Kill yourself.
There are people on this planet, believe it or not, lots of them are in game development and modern tech companies and journalism, that are weak enough that a guy who's dying of cancer would beat them.
yeah, it's pretty. To me, it's like, who would win? Multi-million-dollar corporations that are corrupt and fucking shit, or one cancer-dying Brit. Cancer-filled Brit. Who would win? Obviously, the cancer. I mean, to me, if you're that weak that a guy who's dead scares you, that's pretty bad. I mean, that's pretty lousy in my opinion.
It certainly is an extremely coward thing to do, where
I'm sorry, I have to say this. Arthur Chu, go fuck yourself.
oh yeah, he did a thing too. Wasn't this his only?
I think he keeps doing a thing. He is a permanent thing.
Yes.
If you read his Twitter, it's
What are
amazing.
these people waiting for someone to die before they go out on these triads against them?
But I just told you, fanboy, a dead person is the only one that you can win over.
They probably have like an entire archive of scripts to release to the world whenever one of these enemies of theirs dies. So they're like, oh, Turtle Biscuit died, so here's run the script, and they just release the entire diatribes to the internet.
I mean, probably. Sometimes
Like-
it works. Like, I think, do you know what Edgar Allan Poe died of?
No, what was it?
Oh, because you are retarded. But the commonly held opinion is that he drank himself to death or something, or drugs. Oh, that's not true. But it's the widely accepted version because his what's it called when somebody dies?
Enemy.
What?
His enemies.
No, the thing that you write in newspaper when somebody dies.
Obituary.
Yes, that one.
Epitaph?
His obituary was written by a guy who fucking hated him, but he was the only one willing to do it. So, you know, not all the info that was there was true, but since he was the only source on his death, that became the truth. Yeah.
So,
It's not entirely sure why he died, but it's suspected that he was a victim of some sort of voting fraud, and they made him just march into a voting hall and vote 6 different times with 6 different clothes, and you know, and eventually they beat him up enough so he died.
but yeah, this shit reminds me of the Westboro Baptist Church. Are you guys in Europe familiar with them?
Oh yes. As a matter of fact, there was this one time they wanted to go down to the Netherlands to protest something over there as well.
What are
I
we
don't.
talking about?
The Baptist,
Oh,
that Baptist church thingy.
I didn't.
You know, out Topeka, Kansas. So just do a Google search. Basically, they go protesting at people's funerals,
Hmm.
Yes,
high-profile people.
They love funerals, especially when they
This
are.
reminds me a lot of that. And that's what disgusts me. I don't care whether you're left, right, authoritarian, libertarian, it doesn't matter. Show some respect to the dead, especially if they haven't done anything this, like, by all the shit being said about Total Biscuit, I would honestly think if I never heard of him before, he raped someone, you know, or committed genocide against someone, you know, just from how vicious some
The
of these
French.
tweets are.
Yeah, no, they're just very bitter people.
Which says a lot about their character. I mean, I certainly wouldn't. For instance, if one of their people died, I wouldn't go down to their Twitters and just be like, I'm so glad you're dead. And
Even if Anit Sarkeesian is drop dead right now, I don't think I could have the heart to call her out. You know, that just seems so wrong to me. It's like she's not there to defend herself anymore. Like, what am I going to get out of it besides this one?
that, and you'd also be admitting that you know, you think that their opinion is so important that it even requires you to steep that low.
Yeah.
There's also that.
I don't think Anita needs to defend herself even now. She has people for that.
Yeah, to the tune of almost $20,000 or something like that. Like
That's how much you need for a Discord these days, is it?
Yeah. I mean, do you
Oh.
know how many years
Are you
Artrix
playing
had
that
to be able to set this up?
No, I was actually one of the, you know, I was one of the early adapters. So Discord was like, oh yeah, you can have it for free. I'm like, sweet. But 1 second after I set up my server, Discord was like, yeah, it now costs $20,000 to set up a Discord.
We should run a fundraiser for our Discord to get $20,000 each.
Yes.
I mean,
So-
I'd be pretty happy with $20,000
Well,
right
you
now.
know, we live in the age of technology. Everybody needs their own Discord server.
Like,
Yeah,
if I had $20,000 in the bank, you know what I could do?
not buy a house, but you'd get pretty close to it,
Like actually eat dinner.
and maybe buy a car.
I could actually buy some women respecting juice, which I'm fresh out of.
I'd like some
Respecting
shoes, food, maybe a warm blanket.
Those are all nice things.
Okay, warm blanket. Now you are getting into a luxury territory. What do you need it for?
The mini pack has decided that you don't need that. That's a luxury good. You're not allowed to have that.
Yeah,
Feel-
unless you pay pink tax on it, well, Irish tax, I guess.
You have to go to the Irish. What is the name of your big guy over there? The Tarok or whatever?
The Taoiseach?
Taoiseach. You have to go to the Taoiseach and be like, yo, I want that blanket. He's gonna be like, well, why the fuck are you asking me? Oh. And then just gives you a blanket to get, you know, to get you out of his hair. Like, you know,
Could you imagine actually? Poor starving Irishman goes to the tea shop, says, "Please, sir, can I have a blanket?" And the tea shop refuses. It would be national news. It's like the tea shop refuses to give a blanket to a starving man. It's like, but you can't even eat this. This won't help you with the starving.
Exactly.
And then they give you a fishing rod because the saying goes, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. But giving a
It's
Fishing-
just like giving
yeah.
a potato.
Teach him
Then
how to-
the man starts fishing. You know, he's doing pretty well for himself. He's living in the woods, fishing, and then the game enforcement agency comes out and says, "Do you have a license for fishing?"
Do you have a license to breathe that air right now?
do you have a license to be self-sufficient?
Also, are you illegally living on government property? Did you damage a protected tree?
To be fair, the way things go these days, he would just fish a fish and the fish would be like, "We've updated your privacy policy."
That was the thing that happened too. Oh my god. Like every other mail was like, we update our privacy policy.
Because all the websites suddenly have been forced to agree to these terms that say you need to disclose and be extremely explicit about how much information you're sharing with everybody. And like I logged into Twitter today for the first time in
Forever.
a decade, and it was like, hey, did you know we want to share all this information with advertisers? Please check all these boxes and click OK. So I looked at all the boxes and said, I don't want you sharing any of that, and clicked OK.
It's a nice thing though. Lots of pages that take your data because you subscribed 2 years ago came out of the woodwork, so we can finally unsubscribe.
Oh yeah, there's so many emails I got in my inbox over the last week.
One
It
page
was
even
like,
told me that I have the right to be forgotten.
I was like, hang on a
It's
minute.
nice.
I didn't even know I had accounts on half these websites.
Mhm.
I didn't know these websites existed anymore.
It sometimes happens.
Well,
I
with
was like,
this,
wait, I don't have an account on this site, and then I read all the list of their sites. I'm like, oh, they bought this site.
and then you
I
realize,
realized I've forgotten my Yahoo Mail password because I haven't used it in over a decade.
oh, now that you mention it, I think I have a Yahoo account somewhere. Yeah, I obviously haven't used it in a long time.
Somewhere. You have it on the Yahoo.
What happened to you? What happened to you anyways? You don't hear anything about you these days.
What Yahoo?
I mean, they don't own Tumblr, do they? I think they sold it.
Yes, they do.
Tumblr and Yahoo were bought out by the same company that holds.
Ah, there you go. So
Don't forget the Yahoo browser.
I think it's Verizon. No, it's
Yeah, Verizon.
Oh.
yeah,
Verizon owns Tumblr
and Yahoo.
and you.
Well,
Left of it.
Then again,
And AOL.
that would explain the shitty quality of it.
It really does.
Also, then they discovered, oh wait a minute, there was a giant data breach at Tumblr.
Nah,
I didn't
Oh yeah,
care about that.
we
and at Equifax.
they kind of bought the website and like, oh, by the way, there's a giant data breach. Good luck with that.
Not that the breach was the reason I was so cheap.
I found a website once. I can't remember what it was called now, but it just lists all the recent data breaches and lets you search its database because it's downloaded all the databases that were breached. So it lets you search the database and see how many times your data has been leaked.
Hmm.
And I went on there once and I was like, okay, I'll search for my email address. I was like, oh, Adobe had a data breach that they didn't tell anyone about. There I am. Oh, so did Microsoft. Oh, so did that site. Oh. Yep. Basically, every website I've ever had an account with is on this site.
And
So
Intel.
you had to go and change all the passwords.
So I think Intel had more problems than just a data breach.
But that's the thing. Most websites just don't really publicize these things. They just like let it happen and hope that
Well,
no
no,
one
I don't
knows
see,
this.
because publicizing it, that could be actually helping the data breach. So better just not mention it, and not many people will notice that way.
Like a site I use at the moment, CG Cookie, they said, oh, we were under attack by DDoS all week, but we don't think we could have a data breach. So you're probably fine, but you should change your password anyway.
That's what they, usually do. Also, I saw a beautiful screenshot of Ghostery, the privacy advert VPN program thingy. Oh, it was the updating privacy policy email, and it was a mass email. So in CC, you could see everybody. They sent it to all the email addresses.
No,
Oh, that's bad.
you're not supposed to do that. That's what PCC is for.
Also, that must have been a really big email then in file size, considering that.
Metadata would be massive.
Yes.
Well, look at Artrix. They updated the privacy, all right? they didn't say if it's good or bad.
Well,
it's a change.
At least in a roundabout way, they updated you on the fact that your email address is now shared with hundreds, if not thousands, of others.
It's not like it
G.
wasn't already. Think of it. How many spam accounts or
It's
spam
like
links are you on?
maybe they assumed that everybody already has it, so they didn't bother. The fun thing is, on my main account with my name that I use for official stuff, I keep getting spam. On the ancient account that's semi-legit, that also gets spam. The basically throwaway account that I use for the violence of sites, no spam at all.
No, that's because most illegitimate sites don't actually sell your stuff. They don't care.
For some reason, pirates are more decent people than shops. Huh.
That or there's just no money to be made with email addresses. I don't know.
Are you assuming, Artrix, that sites that work on the principle of not having to buy stuff for money don't send you emails where you can buy stuff for money? Huh. I don't think
It's all kind of hilarious that this was all spurred on by Facebook, just like giving out everyone's data.
Well, it wasn't even spurred by Facebook giving everybody's data. It was spurred by Facebook giving out everybody's data to people who work for Trump.
No, here's the thing. What you actually don't realize is I was in college, okay?
Okay, that I don't
science.
realize.
Yeah. And this wasn't really, this was a few years ago. And well, we had like classes on data science and like how to do data mining and shit. And Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all these websites, they just gave you all your data if you were in college. Just gave it. Every goddamn thing. It's like, hey, Facebook, can I get a data set for research purposes? Like, yeah, sure. It's like, isn't this supposed to be protected with privacy policies and stuff? No, we don't care. Just here's all the data. But you're only using it for research, right? That doesn't. They just give it out freely. It doesn't matter. You can say whatever the fuck you want. If you're an illegitimate person, of course you're just going to go to the college and get the data set.
Obviously, that's how it works. And it like every fucking ad agency that gives you targeted ads does this. Google does it. Everybody does it. But because this particular thing was for Trump, and nobody likes Trump, right? That's a problem. Only now, because this unpopular person might have gained an advantage because of it. And the thing is, they're like this access person's personal private info, and then gave them targeted political ads.
Worst thing is,
That's how fucking O2 ads work. That's how every ad on Facebook works. And when it comes to accessing people's personal data, I saw ads that were liked by the people I have in the friend list. None of which did that.
Oh. But I'm pretty sure that the Democrat campaign probably also used similar propaganda services on their campaign.
Absolutely. I hate the fact that we're just labeling this as just a Trump thing.
Yes.
The DNC probably pulled that shit too. In fact,
Exactly.
I'm willing to bet a Coke on it.
I say this only because I know all the ad stuff does it. Like, it did it since forever. That's,
Yeah.
that's why it pays so much to do ad stuff on Facebook, because it's basically easy and you can sift through people's data, and yes, if you are shady you can sell them.
I had no
that way.
idea they could just.
But now
fucking-
this person, they don't like one and they still can forget it, and now everything tied to him is evil. So now Facebook was always evil, but nobody minded. Now they do.
I had no idea though that they could just go to a college and get a data mine.
Of course,
That
you
just,
can.
that just
Yes.
fucking blows my mind.
Well,
here-
I would understand it
why?
because
It's like, who do you think develops all their algorithms to do the data mining?
yeah,
It's done by students doing their PhDs for free.
and I would agree with it because colleges have like agreements and stuff with these companies, and if they need like plus Google give us a live data set, they need to test something, then Google is going to give them live data set because they are going to get a script after this.
That explains the for scientific purposes clause I saw in this exact law that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That is a big loophole. I mean, you can use scientific stuff for profit or for the bettering the public interest. I clearly see this going down the science
Can
for
you use it
profit
for
route.
fun, though?
But yeah, no, that like, it's just they've been sharing this data since Facebook existed, and I've always found it odd when people are like, "Hang on, Facebook are doing what now? They're serving me ads and recommending me things based on things I like. I don't understand this. Why is this happening?"
You've been on this platform for 5 years. You really
It's
haven't noticed.
They've like every time you click on it. Like I remember a few years ago, I went to buy a joystick, this Trustmaster that I have right here,
Yep.
and I bought it. So I went to the Trustmaster website. I went straight to it. I bought the website. I bought it directly from them. Then for about a month afterwards, every ad I saw that wasn't blocked was for joysticks.
Pretty much. That's what it does. Like you search how to day for a coffee machine. It's nothing but coffee machines on every single ad from on now.
But the thing I find ironic is if they're mining so much data off me so that they can target me with ads or things I'm interested in, surely they should have noticed I already bought the damn thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you need more.
I mean, I'm sure we all had that experience. Like, I recently bought a gaming chair, and every site is like, "Hey, you want to buy a gaming chair?" I'm like, "Oh, I bought one."
It's like I was interested in the gaming chair, but then I got it.
Yes.
I don't need two.
Well, possibly these things are not really caring about whether to port it or not. You know.
I suppose it makes more sense for people buying more disposable products. It's like, yeah, you go on to say eBay or Amazon, and you decide I'm going to buy some really obscure cheap beer and have it shipped to me, and then they're like, "Hey, you bought beer last week. Do you want to buy beer this week?"
Like, do you want to try this beer that's actually kind of good instead of the cheap shit you bought earlier?
Well, I mean, I'm not entirely sure how they could see if you bought something unless you do it through Google account or one of these accounts.
Look,
If
they
you
have
just-
all my cookies. They see exact. Look, you have
Okay.
no idea how much shit Google is mining from you. They know it all. They probably have your credit card information and they've memorized all your codes. I guarantee it.
Don't worry.
Like I log into my internet banking page and I have to put in like this 8-digit code, and I have to put in random digits from my special passcode that I only know in my head. And it's like, okay, well, I've put this code into Google so many times that they should definitely know every digit of it.
Yeah, time out. I have my credit card linked to PayPal. Everybody knows it already.
Yeah, that's true. PayPal just gives that shit out. Yeah. Your entire social security history for scientific purposes.
Obviously, as you do in this day and age. And well, yeah, but I mean, yes, sure, they can go to cookies, but in regards to the search algorithm, I think that just goes to search and then it gives you ads, and then it doesn't care because that particular task was accomplished.
That's what they say. I don't believe it for a second, though.
Now, if they would they would probably stop giving you the ads. Or maybe you just need more of those racing chairs, I would say.
No, it's because they're selling to people who buy another one. Rich people who they'll go and buy something nice, and then they'll see an ad for something that's slightly better, and like, oh, I feel robbed, and then they buy the other one as well.
This one is completely the same, but in purple. I like it more. Okay, that might make sense. Yes.
There are people like that.
Yes.
I must confess, I have done that, but never on something more than like 20 quid.
Well, I'm right in the middle of wanting to do that because I once bought some old games from 2003, and now I found them again in better condition and sealed. You know.
So now
Annoyingly, I even wanted to do it with this joystick because I got the joystick back and it didn't have as many accesses as I thought it did. And then I was on the site looking for joysticks with more axes. I was like, no, I'm not buying another joystick. Well, I might buy the pedals.
maybe.
So are you preparing for playing Star Citizen in 70 years?
I kind of was trying to prepare for spaceship games when I bought it. Then I played a few spaceship games with it, and I realized this doesn't actually help that much.
Well, the thing is, there are no spaceship games that are like proper right now. There's not No Man's Sky. There's Elite, which is not much, and there's Star Citizen that doesn't exist.
I played X3 Rebirth and discovered that it's a multi-axis joystick support was it left me wanting.
Oh,
Just
then
say the least.
I played X2 on a keyboard.
Yeah, it probably would have worked better on a keyboard.
X2 had the worst menus ever. I hope no game ever does this again.
But speaking of games that would play good with a joystick but don't,
Dum dum
Battlefield.
dum. Not Battlefield.
Yes,
fifth-
definitely.
Battlefield
The
1.
fifth one, right?
Yes, but
Yes.
I was just going to say, like the last Battlefield 1, a game I play a lot, and it has some of the worst joystick support in the planet. The planes don't even recognize that you have a joystick when you put it in the game. And you try to configure your controls and you pull back on the stick and it's like, I don't recognize that axis. What? How can a Battlefield game not understand joysticks? And did you realize that it's 2018 and developers don't care about your peripherals anymore? They're just going to give you the shittest, most casual experience. And then you realize also, didn't they port this game to a console? So it should have joystick support because it has to for the console, but it doesn't work anyway. You plug in your console joypad and it's like, what's that? Is that a joystick? I don't know what that is. And then your computer explodes. But that said, World War II is happening soon in the next Battlefield, which has a big 5 in it.
But didn't that happen in the Call of Duty?
Yes.
Again?
Yeah.
You know, the one with the black Nazis.
Look, video games go through this miraculous cycle, and it's been happening since the dawn of doom. You know, you start World War II, that was Wolfenstein, and then you go to World War II again, that was Medal of Honor, and then you go back to World War II some more in Call of Duty. And then after that, you go back to World War II in Battlefield. And then you have a decade of modern warfare, and everyone gets sick of it. So you go back even further to World War I.
I had one of those modern warfares, but
And now we're starting the cycle again, and we've jumped back into World War II phase. Now that everyone's saying,
yes, but Penboy, the last time Call of Duty was in World War II, it was good, and now it's not, and I'm confused.
also, the next Call of Duty Black Ops doesn't even have a single player. Like,
Oh, neither does the Battlefield.
no, the Battlefield does.
Oh.
It's not a very big single player, but it's a single player. Which is kind of funny, because Battlefield, the original Battlefield 1942, way back in the Stone Age, had no single player. It was one of the first video games to be sold that was multiplayer only. I mean, you could play against bots. There was a campaign, which was just you played in multiplayer maps in sequence against bots. But that's not really a single player game, is it? And the bots couldn't fly the vehicles.
Also, this time around, we got a lot of people going, I am indeed proud that in this game you fight Nazis, because I am a very good boy. And I hate Nazis.
Also, I forgot to add one thing about the Facebook. You know what the reason for all this is? The main problem here.
Hmm.
It's the fucking normies.
Normies, yes.
Like, look at the internet. Jesus Christ, 18 years ago. That's a lot. That's older than I am. Like, anyway, look at the internet back then. Do you really think there would be someone who would willingly give anybody their information?
I remember when I grew up on the internet, we were all told that sharing personal information was the biggest sin you could ever commit. And if you ever told anyone who you were or where you were from, a overweight middle-aged man would turn up at your house, rape you, eat your organs, and then kill your dog.
And various things.
Not necessarily in that order, though.
And now people are just like dumping everything they know about themselves on Facebook.
That's the amazing thing of it all. Like, even in the early days of Facebook, was like you're putting all your personal information on this website for everyone to see.
You are weird.
You're even like organizing your parties and whatnot on this site. They know everything about you. You're putting your agendas on these websites.
Why would you do that?
I know, right?
I think the only reason Facebook happened was because of where it started. It like started in a college full of basically old children who hadn't really weren't world weary yet, and someone came up with this idea to plan parties on the internet with your like a yearbook webpage.
Yeah.
And I was like, it'll be great. Like everyone from college will be able to get on this webpage, because these people hadn't all become cynical yet. That's happened. Like, everyone involved in that whole thing is now terrified of the internet, just like we should have been.
Well, yeah, and then it spread amongst normal people who have no idea what internet is.
Like, there's so many people these days who use the internet but only use Facebook and other social media. They have no idea of anything concerning what to them is the deep dark web, which to us is just the internet.
You mean bulletin boards? That's the deep dark web, right?
It is.
But it's funny, they coined the term deep web, but it's just the internet. That's not just, in this whole sphere of Google.
This is where I grew up.
It's like,
it's my culture.
This message board that you have to log into to see the messages. Is that dark deep web? It's not just the deep web, it's the ultra dark void web.
Do you see what's happening here, Artrix? They're appropriating our culture.
They actually are, though. That's the strangest thing. It's like I was thinking about the concept of cultural appropriation the other day, and I realized the only place I've ever saw it as being at all appropriate is where all these normies are coming in to gaming culture and nerd culture and demanding we change it to suit them. I was like, hang on a minute. Wait, is this that thing that they're always talking about when people wear Japanese clothes, except actually happening?
Just like with the old thing from Israel and...
My culture is not your bloody prom webpage.
I was like, so it's so dumb. That was a bit of a revelation I had. I was like, oh, that's so dumb. I still don't care now.
And then went on a deep spiritual journey to the 2000s web pages and forums.
God, I used to be a prolific poster on a site called wagnerma.de. Can you guess what wagnerma.de was?
No, what was it?
It was a Red Alert 2 and Command & Conquer modding site.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that sounds like you're a hacker. You should be arrested.
In Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah. course.
We used terrifying software called Final Sun. It was very final.
So
because
that sounds so definitive and so.
Well, yeah, it was the final release version of Map Editor for Xaverius Sun.
Well, look, Fanboy, you are definitely a hacker.
I am.
There should be police knocking on your door right now.
Yeah.
Look. Back in
I
those
don't
days.
even have door, Fanboy, right now.
Yep. You're.
Yes.
I'm-
I used to open up my Resident Evil save files in a hex editor and give myself more bullets.
You hacker.
My
Well-
God. Thompson was back.
Reporting.
Actually, hex editing a save file and searching it for arbitrary values is actually hacking.
It's long and boring.
Is if you apply the same logic I did to doing that to like getting into a web page, it's like, it's the same shit. You're altering the data to get a different result. And websites back then were pretty shit. So yeah, actually, that's all it took to be a hacker. Now you need to get through SSH security, which is a little harder.
I remember those times when you put in a script and put that into the login field on the forum, and hey, you are admin now.
Or you go onto a web page and it's like, I wonder what users use this site. I know. I'll just type in the header bar, select star from users.
Or the time proven /admin.
Well, you'd get the admin as well.
Yeah, that's good.
You get them all.
That sounds like a wonderfully secured website thing.
That is called SQL injection.
Yes.
And a lot of websites are still subject to it.
Well, to be fair, like
I know
Artrix,
about SQL injection.
back when the internet was new, there wasn't really that much data on the internet that was worth stealing.
But
Because
speaking of elite
as a general rule, internet wasn't taken seriously by serious business normal people, and
And when they tried to take it seriously, it was hilarious.
the few of us who were there were like, well, this is the internet. You can't take the other people seriously. You can't believe all that they say. I mean, that's where the meme comes from, You really think somebody would go on the internet and tell lies?
But let's get back to it. Let's get back to what spurred this conversation, which was the
Yes.
Battlefield 5 release trailer, where it starts off, get this, there's a lady, and
Is she black?
she's poking at an Enigma machine. She might
not
even be attempting to hack it. But
Ooh.
also, she's a lady in World War II, but
Yeah,
also,
but
she
is
has
she
a
black?
prosthetic robot arm.
Oh,
War II. And then she gets shot and falls over, and then the house explodes, and then a bunch of tanks drive through it, and then a guy falls down and one hands in the M42 and murders a bunch of people from behind, and then airplanes crash and a tank falls on somebody, and then it's just a big mess of crap all happening at once. It was one of the most confusing trailers for anything.
that sounds like an accurate description of World War II.
No, I don't think it really is. No.
That just doesn't sound like interesting to me. It sounds like every convoluted trailer I've seen.
Oh yeah, no, it really was just a huge mess of crap. Like, this was supposed to be a gameplay reveal trailer for Battlefield, and
Really?
yeah,
How is any of that gameplay? That sounds like just a bunch of mess.
it was just a bunch of mess. It's not how the gameplay works in any Battlefield. It's not how the gameplay works in Battlefield 5 either.
It's definitely not how the game. Well, do we still need to pretend it's historical?
Look, okay, I'll defend DICE on that one because you know what's going to happen? They will have a somewhat historically accurate single-player campaign, which is fine.
But if they put this, can't they just put giant mechs in there and it'll be like the Wolfenstein New Order?
But like all this weird stuff with ladies and prosthetics and your characters wearing bandanas and being on the American team while wielding MG42s against British soldiers, that's the multiplayer. Like, the multiplayer is not going to be a realistic experience.
So it was
It's
the multiplayer reveal trailer.
Of course, but the Battlefield, its core gameplay is multiplayer. But like there was so much going on in that thing. Like that's not something that's
They
going
need
to
to make
happen.
it. They need to make it clear that this game is about action.
Honestly, most Battlefield matches are pretty slow paced.
No, this is about action, fanboy.
Like every now and again, someone will drive a tank through the house, especially if I'm in the tank and you're in the house. I'll
It was
drive
in
it
bad
through.
company, wasn't it?
Yep, even in Battlefield 1, you can drive through some houses. In
Only some.
Yeah, in Battlefield 3 and 4, they really nerfed how many houses you could drive through. It was awful. It's like you go from Bad Company 2, where you get in the tank, and by the end of the round, there's not a building standing.
There's no cover.
And everyone thought that was great, except people who think it's uncompetitive to not have cover anymore. But fuck them, I guess. You'd still have cover. You have the tanks. You can hide behind the tanks.
Yeah. But just be sure it's your thing, not the enemy.
No, hide behind enemy tanks too.
Yeah, but they
Like-
can roll you over.
They can if they notice you. So many people in Battlefield just do not notice when there's people, on their tanks. Putting C4 on them.
They are only aware of them if they're in front of them in point blank range with a big sign that says, "Hey, look at me."
But they probably notice you when they explode.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, so that's what the guy was there for.
But there's people being very upset for no real good reason right now that there are ladies in Battlefield 5.
I
And that
don't
there's-
get like ladies in Battlefield 5 that's something I'm for. I don't see why people would be upset about it.
They
Like,
are
I kind of
possibly
get
upset
that.
because it was, World War II and not many ladies were in the front lines. I'm just saying.
So a realistic depiction, then again, it's realistic when she had like a robotic prosthetic arm.
That's not like first the fact.
How is that? How is that? Is this Wolfenstein 3D?
Of course.
Oh, well,
No,
then
no, no,
where
no.
are the giant mechs?
Okay. I may have exaggerated the robot arm a bit. It was one of
Okay.
those claw arms.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't a robot arm. It was mechanical. Okay.
So it's a high tech for its age.
Well, technically, that's still to a degree a robot arm. It's just not a very good one.
It's an analog robot.
But
I
I
just don't-
don't get why. I just don't get why. Like, on one hand, I don't like having representation just for the sake of representation. On the other hand, like having characters that are like LGBT or women or let that happen. As long as it's not, you're not doing it just to cater to some forced agenda. I just.
Well, the thing is,
I
I think
don't
in this
get
trailer,
when it fits the setting. This one does not fit the setting.
Yeah.
I mean, I am willing to believe you. There's somewhere in World War II, one person with a claw arm, because the person is necessary and knows something that nobody else knows.
okay, but this lady with the robot arm, it didn't seem to hinder her performance whatsoever. After she gets killed in the beginning of the trailer, she respawns later to beat someone to death with a spiky cricket bat.
Okay.
Oh.
That
Okay, so
that
this
kind of should tell you everything you need to know. Like, yeah, this
Not to
this
finish it. Look, I'm not saying that this one particular lady was not supposed to be somebody who, knows.
So what you're
Enigma
saying?
and nobody else knows Enigma machines. But as Fanboy said, this was not the campaign. It was just a random person in multiplayer. And since multiplayer is about mass armies attacking other mass armies of the amazing amount of 20 people,
Yeah.
Some people also
What's
found
the- what's
the
the-
guy running into battle with two katanas a bit odd too.
Okay, so what's the probability you find a 20 against 20 of ladies or katana guys? I mean, this is kind of like the Assassin's Creed 78, I think it was, where there was the the Victorian era street gangs and 50% of them were women.
Is this some alternate universe where World War II was a bit more disorganized?
Maybe.
I think the secret is, and this is gonna blow your minds. is Battlefield
Okay.
5 is a video game.
It's a video game. Holy shit.
It's not actually a documentary.
I was not aware.
And do you know what's going to happen as well in this game? This is a Battlefield game, right? So there's going to be tanks. And you know what's going to happen? Someone's going to drive up to the point in a Tiger, and somebody down the street is going to drive around the corner in a Matilda, and the Matilda is going to beat the Tiger. Because the guy in the Tiger is a retard and keeps missing all his shots. But the Matilda that has a gun that shouldn't be able to hurt a Tiger is going to shoot it repeatedly till it dies. And
Like
that
a
will
cyber
happen.
demon. Like a cyber demon in Doom 1 or 2.
Yeah,
Just shoot it until it dies.
indeed. Shoot it till it dies.
It'll probably
Yeah, I
work in
get
real
that.
life,
I get that, and I'm all right for taking liberties and stuff. It just to me, it just
I
does
think
sound like a cluster.
the main problem here is that perhaps there's a certain discrepancy of the let's say percentage of how often are such things happening. As I said, if that one lady with the core and Enigma machines was in the campaign and was a very important person, yes, why not? You want to have a story like this. But if it's just multiplayer and statistically the 99% of people on the front lines were men, that's just,
I think I heard another silly thing that happened in chat.
if you are bothering to make a game that's set in some period, at least try to pretend it's in that period. Otherwise, you can just mash everything together and make Blood Dragon 2, and it would be amazing.
I'm hoping for a bit of Blood Dragon 2, honestly. I'm looking forward to Battlefield taking a bit of a silly break from being strictly realistic, to be honest. I've played so many Battlefield games, but I don't mind. I don't mind it being silly. But I just think that the current state of people just getting butthurt about it is hilarious. There was also a scene in this like 20-second trailer where all this happened, where also a grenade got thrown at a guy. The guy tossed a grenade up in the air, shot it, and blew up a plane.
Okay.
Which then crashed into a bridge, which knocked over a truck, which then made a tank fall on top of another guy. All of this happens in the span of like 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm. It took you more time to describe the scene than the actual scene.
Yeah.
Well, that was lots of stuff happening.
Yes.
They really made a super condensed, high octane trailer.
Are you? So what you're saying is that it was like that guy from Star Wars that goes, it's so dense. There's so much things going on all at once.
But there really was. There was too much shit going on.
Yes.
You couldn't. I watched it on the stream when it was airing while I was playing Battlefield 1, so I was a little distracted.
Just a little bit.
But yeah. But also the stream wasn't of the greatest quality. Like streams never are. It was a YouTube stream. But
Okay, but if they want to make it absolute exaggeration, then why not? In that case, I think the people might get butthurt because they are used to Battlefield having some standards, even though the standards kind of fell off after Battlefield 1. But they were still hoping, yes, maybe we can stick to semi-realism.
I'm playing Battlefield 1 and I have a submachine gun that holds 200 bullets, and it's man-portable water-cooled machine gun.
I did mention that the standards have waned after Battlefield 1, didn't I?
I don't think the gun ever actually existed in reality. It was based off a prototype that never got built called
That's what I'm saying.
the Hellriegel. There's another gun that's called an SMG-08.
I mean, look, they have Zeppelins everywhere in the game. I don't think there were enough Zeppelins in the World War.
There's another SMG as well called the SMG-08, which fires 80 rounds a clip that are basically rifle bullets. It fires at 900 rounds per second or something, which is
Okay. Fanboy, maybe I misjudged. Maybe these people are not doing it on purpose. Maybe the developers are just absolutely unknowing when it comes to it.
no. See, the thing is, it's a shooter kit. They need a P90, so they took a P90 and put it in World War One and painted it in rust.
Okay, that's extremely cloudy.
And for all the LMGs, they're basically modern LMGs in World War One painted with rust.
But that's not how you do it.
Like, nothing in World War One had the kind of fire rates of any of these guns.
Yes, exactly. The fights in World War One were taking pot shots and somebody in the trenches opposite of you.
The
Sometimes it
fights
was
in
there.
World War One went like this.
And then
I'm
you
in a
jump
trench.
out of the trench and jump into the other trench and smash somebody's face in with the field. What was it called? The field spade.
Yes, I do that a lot. The shovel is my primary weapon in a
Well,
battle.
World War One was that conflict where maces resurfaced and armor.
Funny thing is, though, the primary means of dying in World War One was you're sitting in a trench, they're sitting in a trench, you hear a distant boom, and then you say, "Is that coming this way? I don't know. Is it?" And then everyone in the trench looks at each other, and then they all explode. So does the trench. So does the trench next to you. So does everything within about 500 square meters.
That's a lot of square meters.
It's safe to say it was most of the trench.
And anyway, we should probably move on to the last topic before we end this episode because we're starting to run out of time.
Okay, there was a theater play where a Jesus rapes a Muslim woman and everybody got offended.
The what now?
Well, it happened in Czech Republic. There was a play, and there was a Jesus, and he raped a Muslim woman. I think the play is called Our Violence and Your Violence.
Mm-hmm.
It features, among others, people in orange jumpsuits being made to kneel and pray to some weird music. You know, if there rings any bells, I don't know anything about it existing in real life.
That sounds like they're just trying to be offensive.
Yes, exactly. And you know who got offended? And I find it hilarious. Christians got offended.
Of course, because
Because Jesus apparently didn't rape. Did you know that?
No, I just gave you the answer.
Well, like one of the things that bothers me is like whenever, like with Christians and Islam and all these religious folk, right? They get so offended when anything challenges their viewpoint, right?
Mhm.
And they consider things like atheism and all that to be very hostile. And it's like most of the atheists I know are pretty chill and don't really do stuff to deliberately offend people, and they don't go out of their way, you know what I mean? They don't go out of their way to harass individuals unless someone's doing it in a public forum, and then they're more like they offer counter arguments and all that. This sounds more like someone just being edgy for the sake of being edgy. You know, this sounds very.
It's a theater play that's supposed to, yes, be controversial, so it spurs discussion. Well,
Yeah.
in this case, it didn't work out. And the greatest thing about it, personally, the festival that's happening there, which this play is a part of, the name of the festival is Freedom and its Fragility.
Freedom and its fragility. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
freedom
I
is
mean, to
very
be
fragile,
fair-
as we can see all over the world. And these people who got offended are just kind of confirming the theory that this screenplay
Freedom
had.
is fragile. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find it very, you know, people are allowed to make whatever they want, and I'm allowed to say what I want about it, and that's that, you know. That's about as far as I'm going to go with that, because, like, yeah, it sounds like just someone trying to provoke, and, you know, sometimes that's something necessary. Sometimes people need to just be provoked, you know, and think
But-
about things, and
But
not just
those are
be
bad
helpful.
ideas. You are not allowed. They are bad, and bad is bad, you know.
I know Google is already tracking me down. They're going to send Google Assistant to kill me. I know that.
Oh God. Google Assistants and Alexas and shit listening to you all the time, apparently.
Yes. And
Would not be-
laughing at you with its dark laugh.
Yeah, I don't get people that voluntarily get these things in their homes. They're like, oh yeah, having a device that listens in all the time. And
You
the
know what
most
the best thing is, Artrix, though?
By the way,
There's a lot of people who've got them into their homes unaware.
You
And
mean
It's built into modern smart TVs, and people
Yes.
don't even know.
Oh, so it's like better Kinect, right?
Yeah, like
The thing about
some
Go.
people have complained that like they buy a new smart TV, like a new Samsung or something, and then they're just surfing the internet, and then they were talking about something with their friends, and suddenly they're being sold antidepressant pills. I was like, wait, what?
so the TV basically hurt them?
you know, or Artrix, you are just sitting at your home, being a person at home, and suddenly the TV is laughing at you.
Yeah, apparently Alexa's some programmer as a joke made them laugh randomly.
And they had to actually like send out a patch or
Yeah,
something.
because
I remember hearing about that.
It creeped out a lot of people.
I can imagine. But it's just the fact that these machines actually operate so with such
Autonomously.
autonomy. Yeah, it is. It's a bit much, but also they violate all the rules of the new European thing.
GDPR.
Yeah,
Or as we in Slavland did GDPR.
That's something I've actually heard, that Google's trying to work around the whole new data law that was passed in the EU.
Yeah, the great thing about GDPR is that it just proves how shit and unprepared their laws for data on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Like it really has cracked down. It's
Data
really
security was usually just like, well, here's a password that has different characters, and well, we have a padlock on this.
it's pretty hilarious. Like this new law has basically broken how the internet works.
And
Right now.
the even more hilarious thing is that nobody really knows what it is. And like now we get clients who do salaries and everything, and well, there's a law that you have to have some records for the next 30 years because people tend to go into retirement. You know, the edge, the year where you go into retirement is still not high enough that people actually don't live that long. The government is working on it, but they still are not there. So people actually do go into retirement sometimes. And then those people need those records, you know, so the state has to pay them. And the salary people need to keep those records. But according to GDPR, they can't keep those records after the person stops working there. Then I get clients calling to me crying that they don't know what to do. Because they were on some lecture, they paid a lot of money for it. The lecture person didn't tell them really anything they wouldn't be able to read on the internet, but don't mind that. And when they get asked a question, they are just like, yeah, print that out and delete the data. What kind of advice is that? It's not even like complying with the law, because the law tells you just have it for the next 30 years. It's amazing. Like, everything is broken right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's
Great. And then you got the whole right to be forgotten, which
Yes, I find it amazing. I need to write a few websites to tell them they should forget me.
it's like, hey Google, forget me. Actually, it's funny because there's a law in Ireland, in our Data Protection Act, which has been around for quite a while. But it says a company has to disclose any information they have on you if you ask for it. They can charge you a processing fee of up to €6.
Oh no! Well, you are Irish. I mean, that's a lot.
So, but people just don't know these things, like, and they don't ever act on them. I was like if people were constantly going to Google saying, "Hey Google, under Irish law, you need to divulge all information you have stored on me, and you need to be able to do this in like a week. Do it now." I'm sure Google wouldn't track nearly as much data, especially not if people were requesting it constantly. But now with all these new GDPR regulations, they really can't track you nearly as much without at least disclosing it explicitly.
Well, it's a direct response to the Facebook thingy and people who sell and buy data. The thing is, people who want to circumvent it will find a way to circumvent it.
Wait, we're trying to move on to a different topic. We've already talked about this.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the new topic is Britain is fact, because it's really fact right now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What to do?
Well, apparently you can exist if you are a not nice person. So
Oh.
you probably know this person whose name I immediately forgot. The English Defense League person. What's
Oh,
his name?
BDL guy. Oh, shit, I forgot. Tommy Robinson.
Yes, that one. So he was in front of some court, doing a live stream, waiting for a verdict to be passed over some well, Asian people. Well, and then some policemen just came up to him and you are arrested. Like, what? I'm not doing anything. I'm just recording here. I'm live streaming. Yes, you are arrested for disturbing the peace. He got arrested.
In
Just for
fairness,
recording something.
I've seen Tommy Robinson disturb the peace. He's
Yes,
not. He doesn't. His version of peaceful protest is mostly okay, but he's not. He isn't really the nicest guy.
Yeah. Well, in this case, he was just doing a live stream.
That and from what I gather, that he was like in an area where the court has very explicitly stated no reporting here,
Oh,
like don't
Okay.
be here, and you know it's off limits. Also, the case was still going on, and he was basically committing something commonly known as pre-jury, where he basically
Perjury.
yeah, he basically said, yeah, these pedophiles, whereas the court is still the case is still in court. So you're basically saying, okay, this person that we don't know whether they're guilty or not. He was
Yes.
basically just going in and say these pedophiles, and you can. So he was trespassing, basically, reporting. Well, he was not supposed to be reporting, and I think he also had like outstanding. He was like on parole for a prison sentence, so that's why they were able to just say, okay.
Okay, that's a compound offense. See, Artrix, one would think that he was being very progressive because there's been like a few dozen people, and by people I mean once young girls and now young girls who were invited for a nice dinner by these Asian people, right? And he was not doing anything bad. He was just listening and believing.
Yes.
I don't see why they would arrest him. Well, that thing aside, there was a lady in some sort of English park. Oh, back to Robinson. Actually, I saw him talking to some reporter, like when the attacks on that one bridge in London happened. And, he was kind of, I guess he had it memorized, but he was just putting out statistics and data and shit, and he was making the reporter to look like a complete idiot. Maybe they don't like him much too. Anyway, that was
like Tommy Robinson.
in some park, and apparently in that park it's forbidden to pray to any sort of religion. And there were some Asian people praying, probably Buddhists, fucking Buddhists, just keep praying everywhere. And the lady was like, well, there are people praying there, police people, do something about it. And the police people are like, oh, they're not doing anything wrong, are they? She's like, no, the rules of this park state that it's not allowed to pray here. And then she actually pulled out the rules of the park and showed them, and the police had to change the note. They were like, yeah, okay, well, as long as they are not doing anything to anybody. I'm like, but it's in the rules. And then some random Asian person was like, well, if I saw a Christian praying next to a tree, would I report it? I wouldn't. Yeah, and stuff like that. And then the police people were like, well, the chief says that we should leave it alone. If you want, you can go with us to the police station to file a report or accusation or something. I don't know. A complaint. Yes, that's what I was looking for. And she was like, no, I'd rather not go with you to the police station. Probably she's some sort of oracle, She had a premonition. She felt something's wrong there. Well, and wouldn't you know it? Then there was a recording from her phone. I'm not sure if it was later today or some other day, but there were police at her door, and they were knocking. And they were like, let us in, or go outside. We don't mind either of those. She's like, why? And they were, let us in. Like, well, this is very sinister. I don't like this. You are behind my door and don't want to tell me why you are here. They're like, let us in. And then she spent like 10 minutes doing this sort of fruitful conversation, recording all of it on her phone, remarking several times that she doesn't really feel safe and that it's very scary and sinister, and that she never had that happen to her in all the time that she was with that. And the moment she opened the door, she got arrested.
For what?
What the fuck do I know? I guess she was disturbing the policeman, but that is probably it. She was at her home, and it was very peaceful, and then she came in, and she existed, and then disturbed the peace of the flat, so she had to be arrested.
One thing I hate about Britain is, well, there's two things I hate about Britain, but related to what you're talking about, I really don't like how inconsistent the laws are applied there. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds, they have no constitution that's codified. It's all based on, precedent.
Unfortunately, that's true. I mean, probably the last codified document in Britain was the Magna Carta.
They do have a constitution. But
Well,
Are you sure?
Look
They
at me, I want
use
to
it
read
like
it.
coasters and a tea or something.
I want to see this constitution because I was not aware. I thought they had they have an uncodified constitution. It's basically all the laws they've passed, right?
But that's the thing. Most countries have in the States you've got bills as well as the actual constitution. It's like it's just two separate layers of law. It's like these are the big laws that cover everybody as basically your human rights as an American, and then you've got like lesser laws, and then even below that you also have state laws. So yeah, there's layers. Like Ireland has a constitution as well, but tax law isn't in the constitution.
I know that, but there's no like, as far as I know, in England, there's no like Bill of Rights. As far as I know, I could be wrong on that.
Magna Carta. There is the Magna Carta, which is
Yes, that's what I meant basically. Your rights are, well, not much because you're fucking peasant.
So there's really no like precedent for legally what your rights are as a civilian in Great Britain and Northern Ireland, right?
Well, apparently, at least what we can infer from this is there is no precedent for arresting old ladies because they were offended at somebody breaking the rules in a park.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they don't actually have a constitution.
Yeah.
So I'm saying Britain is, turning out to be a nice shithole.
And that's kind of the thing that bothers me more is they really, since they don't have a Bill of Rights that basically, or a constitution that actually outlines the basic human rights that you can expect, like freedom of religion, freedom of all that sort of stuff, right? Freedom of the press. There is literally all this shit that they can use against you. They don't also have anything, as far as I know, like the Miranda rights, like we have in the United States, where you have the right to an attorney, you have a right to a swift but fair trial. You have all these, all that sort of stuff. There's not really anything like that in the UK, and it's like seeing what happened with Count Dankula. I mean, whether it was tasteful or not, that's not what I'm getting at. He basically did something that, in his own spare time, should not have affected it. And he was facing jail time. Fortunately, he just got away with a small fine, but that shit's on his record now. When I think in America, he probably could have just argued, yeah, poor taste, but he's protected.
Look, so was the case with the lady. In America, she would just sue the park.
Yeah, like they would bounce, like unless she was, like that's just what I hate about some parts of the world, and it's a shame that some parts of the world in America, like in not just the Americas and Europe, but just across the world, there is no human rights doctrine for each country. So you can go to any of these countries and you could be arrested for simply doing something that in America you can get away with.
I forgot one thing. There was a guy, and he had some friend, and they put bacon sandwiches on a mosque, and then somewhere they put a flag that said no mosques on it. And this was a racist attack, friend.
Yeah, you're right. The UK law is mostly based off precedent and the judgment of that judge on that particular day.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what happened with Dankwa, because he got a really retarded judge.
Yeah, I heard that judge was
probably
basically
whoever
a
had
piece
the
of
case
shit.
with the bacon guy too. I mean, would you does putting sandwiches and rubbing some bacon on a door handle of a mosque, does that constitute an attack?
I would not say so.
Yes, well, the judge said different, and then the guy was sent to jail, and the jail had some Muslim people in it, and the guy mysteriously died. But there's no relation, obviously, to those things.
Yeah, we all know Islam is a very peaceful religion, and no one has died whatsoever because of Islam. Am I right?
The freaking religion of evil.
Yes.
Despite the fact they
that was
clearly
the input from
despite the fact that they clearly in Sharia law would execute me for not only being a trans woman, but an
Look,
atheist.
you have to understand that Sharia law is voluntary. Nobody's forcing anybody to Sharia law, and it's absolutely no threat to legal law.
Except for the victims of it. It's voluntary for the people practicing it. It's not voluntary for the people it's being practiced on.
Yeah.
So that's fair enough. Let's implement right now.
It's like, oh, I am voluntarily a wood carver. This tree is voluntarily not my... Oh, okay, it's a tree. It doesn't really have a choice, does it? Carve. And, well, you see, Islam kind of views everybody as a tree, not Islamic.
Putting bacon on a door handle of a mosque is a great practical joke. Unfortunately, you tend to die after doing that. I'm pretty sure it's unrelated.
Yeah, I'm sure he died just in his sleep.
Well,
Peacefully.
the reports that came out suspiciously late suggest that he overdosed on some drug that just happens to be the same drug that the Islamists, Asian people tend to put into the lovely dinners they give to those girls. It is a coincidence. It just
It's
happens
a
that this is
complete
the only
coincidence.
drug in existence in Britain, right?
Oh, but it just, I think that's another thing I'm not liking about Europe in general, is the general thing of Islamic apologism. That's what's keeping me from finding a way to move there.
You say that like Americans and Canadians aren't doing it too.
Yeah, that's the thing though. We are doing it, but people go like, "Oh, go to Europe; they have better healthcare." I'm like, "Yeah, but
Look. All you should do-
I can at least criticize Islam. People may hate me for it, but I'm still allowed to criticize it here.
Do
In
not
Canada, at
lump
least-
us together with the West Europeans, okay?
What?
That
I
war
agree.
was Europe, not Eastern Western. Look, what you need to do is
I'm talking
move
about
into
Europe.
Poland.
Lump us together with West Europeans.
Sekele,
Okay, I think we had it the first time. I was saying,
people together all the time, and it drives me nuts. You're being a horrible hypocrite right now.
Penbo, you are British. Anyway,
But
what I was saying is you need to move into Poland or into Hungary.
what are my benefits from moving there?
Well, they don't apologize to.
There's no benefits to moving to
Oh,
Poland.
and
Well, the main benefits is
anti-communist and anti-fascist. Are they both?
Poland is
The
doing
majority. I'm talking about the
Poland
majority.
is doing its own thing, and everybody's laughing at the government, and the government is steadfast in the fact that they are good government. Hungary is just like Soros is financing the migrants. We need to stop him, and none of them like migrants. In fact, Poland was like some of the Polish politicians were very sad. They didn't let some migrants in, like we did, because we left 12 of them in. That was the one that were deemed not dangerous. Then, like, Italy sent us this long list, and our Minister of Defense or whoever read it and went through it and deemed that none of those people are safe enough to be put in to the state, and then Italy just gave up sending us any more lists. It was magical. Anyway, so Poland was very disappointed that they didn't take those 12 or something, because if they took some migrants, then EU couldn't use to, well, you're not taking migrants. We need to take money from you. Because 12, that's some number. That's an amount. Then again, it's Poland, so one of those ministers was like, well, you know what? You still owe us reparations for World War II. So yeah, if you want to live somewhere where there's no migrant Islamic apologia, go to Hungary or Poland.
You can also go to Slovakia. We hate them too.
Oh, that too. Also, Slovakia has the advantage of, when EU goes and sues the V4, like, because we are not nice human states, I guess, and sues us, it tends to forget about Slovakia. Just doesn't notice. Like, we got sued, Hungary got sued, Poland got sued, Slovakia even tried to sue EU, but it was not sued back. Like, what's going on here?
I'll warn you, Sanya, but Poland and Hungary aren't exactly considered European economic powerhouses.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
My main thing with Europe, though, is it's the same reason I have with Canada, is just the apologism, like, for that. And that's one of the reasons I decided to opt out of moving to Canada, because Trudeau's a fucking chode.
He sure is.
Trudeau is the best man that ever manned.
And with that, I'm going to end this episode. Yeah, he's a person, not a man. You horrible human being.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
No. Right.
But yeah, we've been going on for a long time. We should pull a plug on this episode.
Are we getting to the time the cats or not?
We need to abort Trudeau.
By ending this here episode.
We need to abort the E EU.
So like, subscribe, let Google know all your preferences. Store your like for Ray Rothingham on their service, but only after you consent to them, storing that precious information.
Unless you are British, because if you are British and you like this, we probably could be jailed.
And let's see. Oh yeah, and in
If
the
there's a knocking on your door in the next 15 minutes, do not open.
jump out. To comply with the European laws and shit. If you subscribe to Ray Rothingham, then you agree that we know all your docs, and we'll use them whenever we see fit, and there's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, that was pretty transparent, wasn't it?
We know everything down to your penis size, and it's
Yeah.
small.
We know everything. We even know the things you didn't know about yourself. So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you guys next time for another episode of Ray Rothingham Mechanics.
Listening.